Hello everybody. I just wanted to do a quick short video on cleansing objects. There's a lot of things said around that, oh, you just need to bury them or you just need to do them. Well, every object cannot be cleansed the same way. Some items can be cleansed and charged at the same time. Like your stones, some stones don't even need charging or cleansing for that matter, like your citrine and kyanite and a few others. But I'm just going to read from my little book of shadows here and let you know kind of what I have down as far as cleansing objects goes. Unless you gather them from nature, all things should be cleansed before we use them in any of our magic rituals. This is mainly because anything that is touched by another being, whether they intend to or not, they can leave their energies and intentions or feelings and whatnot behind, and that can actually interfere with whatever we're trying to use this object for in our working. So we always want to cleanse it and infuse it with our own energy before we use anything. Anything. Okay? The only exception is when you've been given something by another practitioner or witch, however you want to call it, that you completely confided in trust and know that they would not put any bad intent into it. Even then, if you don't feel completely confident, you can still do this. If you feel it's going to hurt their feelings, don't tell them. Simple as that. There are several methods for cleaning, and a little thought will really tell you which method you should use for these things. The most useful way is to place something under the light of a full moon overnight. When you do this, it's preferred that you place it outside in the direct, line. But if you can't, because maybe you live in the country or you live in an apartment complex or something like that, you could simply use a windowsill. That would be just fine. Just make sure you know roughly where the moon is going to be, and you can, set it accordingly. Also, another thing you could do is when you're charging in the direct moonlight from indoors is, and I know this sounds a little crazy, but I've done it, is taking your items and actually moving them from one side of your house, because like with me, the moon would start, usually over here at one point at night, and then it ends up, over here. I will get up and I will move and go take my stuff to the other window. But usually I will take things outside because I have that luxury. But not everyone does, and that's fine. A little bit of moonlight goes a long way, to be honest with you. Let's see. The moonlight will also charge a lot of your things too. Your stones are great. I can't think of one stone that cannot be charged in moonlight. So if you're questioning whether or not, can I put this in the sun? Can I run this underwater? Moonlight is like the go-to for this. Okay. The second option is waterproof items. Items that water will not affect or change the makeup of. You don't want to put wands in water, obviously. There's certain stones you can't put in water that have a very soft hardness. Kyanite is one of those ones. There's a few others like the galena and whatnot. You just check up on the hardness levels of these things before you put them in water. You don't necessarily need to sit down and make a list. Oh, I charge this crystal this way, I charge this crystal that way, I charge this crystal or cleanse it this way. You need to be able to understand the way the general makeup of the stone affects the way that you can cleanse it. It needs to have a hardness higher or right at the hardness of calcite, which I can't think of off my head. I think it's like 4.5 or something like that. So whenever you do have these stones that can be cleansed underwater, you can run them under tap water for 5 to 10 minutes, ensuring that all the negative energy or anything clinging to it goes right down the drain. Another method for this is to take a rather large jar of moon water and let them set in it for 5 to 10 minutes and then dispose of the moon water, because it will hold those energies. I do not suggest dumping the moon water on plants or anything like that. Like I said, dispose of it, because it literally will pull that stuff out. Let's see. When running water or moon water is not applicable, and you can't wait for a full moon, you can do this. You can take and you can draw a pentagram. It doesn't need to be a pinnacle. It doesn't need to have the circle. It can be just a pentagram. And one fluid line, which means one pass. Do not stop and look at it, check and see if it's easy. It's going to take practice. But you can use pink Himalayan salt or you can use regular sea salt and draw you a pentagram. Then place the items you wish to cleanse in the middle. And then in the morning, dispose of the salt, put it in a bag and put it in the trash can. You usually don't want to throw a lot of salt outside or bury it because it will affect the landscaping in the earth. It'll kill stuff. We don't really want to do that. And Mike Sexton was great enough to bring up that tip because I never really thought about that, because I always put things into jars or something and I will bury them, especially when doing house cleansings or banishments or cleansing spirits from a home. You just want to dispose of it to make sure it's gone. Okay. A final way is to bury the item in the earth. Now, this is something else you want to make sure. If it's not waterproof, don't bury it in the earth, because you're going to have to clean it off. You can't wrap it in a bag and bury it in the earth. It doesn't work that way. It needs to be directly touching earth. My suggestion is never bury or cleanse something in the earth in the same place twice within a year. I would allow the earth to cleanse itself, of the energies that you've left in the ground before you go about doing doing it in the same place. So, during the first year, make sure you use different places and make sure there are things that you can clean off in water. Some people prefer the earth method. I do like it. I think it's a really good idea. Just because it connects you that much closer, and you're just allowing, like it would in nature. You get things from nature, they're already cleansed. And this way it kind of provides the same thing. So that's as far as cleansing things goes. And, some charging, because like I said, the full moon, we just had one and it was actually a very enjoyable one. So if you didn't get them cleansed, you have other ways, you have other options. And then also your charging, that's a whole nother subject, so we will go down that road another time. But I thank you for watching, I thank you for your likes, I thank you for your views, and if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. Blessed be.